It is Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. How the heck is everybody feeling on Victory Monday? What's up? What's up? What's up? How the heck is everybody feeling today? It is Victory Monday. The 49ers are fresh off a beatdown of the Rams, 31-14 to be exact. The 49ers rode a hot second half and pummeled the Rams, the division rivals, one of the biggest rivalries right now in sports. And the Niners got some revenge. They swept them in the regular season. They're now 8-0 in their last 8 games against the Rams, and that was a medicine game, a get-right game, and everything went right in the second half, and we are here today on Victory Monday. So how the heck is everybody feeling? Welcome. What's up? What is up? Labrador says, let's fucking go. Pardon my language. He says, bang, bang, Nana gang. Bang, bang, Nana gang. We are hyped up. What a victory yesterday. A massive win for the 49ers, who go to 4-4, and they needed this win to climb up in the NFC. They're in 7th place right now in the NFC. They're going into the bye week with a big win. They're going to get healthier out of the bye week. You'll get Elijah Mitchell, Debo. I don't know if they'll get Arik Armstead and Jason Verrett, but they'll get healthier, obviously. Maybe they have a chance to play. Kyle Juszczyk. Jimmy Ward will be a little bit healthier. He's been playing with the broken hand. So this was a great game. They needed it, and it was a big division NFC West game. Now they're 3-0 in the NFC West, and that's going to go a long way, because I feel like if they want to make the playoffs, they have to win the division, and that was a monumental game. They have 2 games against Arizona and a game against Seattle left. Those are the last 3 games in the division. So, let us go, man. Let's peak at the right time. That is exactly what the Niners have to do. They did that last year. They peaked at the absolute right time, and it could happen again this year. It's crazy because they got off to a slow start last year, and they turned it around. They had a catalyst, Debo Samuel, and it sparked him, and he put the team on his back, and they rode it all the way to the NFC Championship. The defense stepped up. They made adjustments in the second half of the season, and it could happen again. Now they got CMC, who we need to call him the hero of the Bay right now. Christian McCaffrey. All hail Christian McCaffrey. He was the first player to go and get a Triple Crown touchdown. He threw one, he caught one, and he rushed one since 2005, LaDainian Tomlinson. It's just insane, the stats that he put up. It was a wild, wild night for Christian McCaffrey. He was hungry, and he led this team, and he did not let them lose. The amount of hard work he's had to put in to get this to get this playbook down. He's been on the team for 10 days now. Yesterday was 9 days, and he absolutely just flat out dominated. That just shows how great of a player he is. And I bet you the Rams are having nightmares. I think they're having nightmares of Christian McCaffrey. Unbelievable. Labby, we'll talk about OBJ. That's a big rumor out there today. I guess we'll get right to it. So there's been some rumors today. Adam Schefter on Pat McAfee's show, he said, last year the 49ers were interested in getting OBJ, and he says he doesn't see why not that they would be this year. So he says basically, if they need a receiver, if they have the opportunity, they'd go get him. He's not on a trade block; he's a free agent, so they could get him whenever. He's still, dealing with the torn ACL rehab. He'll probably be back in November. So right now they wouldn't need to get him, but they could get him down the line and stash him. And he can be a guy that could help down the stretch. You get as many weapons as you can. I know a lot of people are opposed to it. Oh, they don't need him. They have great receivers. They got a lot of injured players on this team. Jawan Jennings has been hurt. Debo Samuel is dealing with a hamstring injury. Why not bring in an extra weapon? If they can afford it for a rental or two, for a year or two, OBJ is a great player. He's coming off a torn ACL, so How effective will he be? I don't know. So he might be at a discount. He wants to go and win a championship. OBJ is going to go sign with a team that has a chance to win the championship. Obviously, the Bills are front runners. He might go back to the Giants. He might go to the Rams because they need help and they'd be willing to pay him. But the Niners have always been linked to OBJ. Remember a couple years back, OBJ is on the way. OBJ is on the way. I just wanted to sing that. What's up, media? He says I was about to start singing OBJ, and I did. Right on cue, huh? The Niners have been linked to this man for years. I wouldn't be opposed to go and bring him in. I don't care. Load the team up. Win a championship. Because here's what I'm saying. If the Niners add him to the team somehow and they win a championship, nobody's going to complain about it. I guarantee you, it's the same thing I said about CMC. Everybody was, oh, don't get him. Oh, they don't need him. They need a DT. They need a cornerback. They need a lineman. Yes, they need those things. But if they go get OBJ and the offense is dynamic and nobody can stop them and they win a championship, nobody's going to complain about it. Go get him. Put your hand in the ring. Go get him. Go get that man. I know we need a cornerback, but I wouldn't be opposed to get OBJ. If they brought him, I'd be hyped. I'd be happy, just like every other fan would blow their load when they see the signing. I don't think it's gonna happen. But it would be amazing. That's all I'm gonna say. Miguel says, "Happy Halloween, Victory Monday, best Halloween candy ever." This was the best Halloween candy ever. This was a great Victory Monday because it's Halloween. We didn't get tricked. We got all the treats. We put the Rams in a blender, and they are down bad now. The Rams are struggling. Jalen Ramsey's frustrated. They're the defending Super Bowl champions, and they are looking bleak right now. And the Niners have a great extra week to get healthy, and that was like I said, a big win for the Niners. A Boogie, with the incentives Debo has for rushing, can you see him and CMC fighting for touches? Would that be a problem? I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think they're going to make sure that Debo gets his carries, and obviously he's going to want his carries so he can get more money. Debo wants to get paid. He's going to tell Kyle, yo, give me some carries. But he also needs to be smart in terms of staying healthy. The hamstring injury, is something that you got to keep an eye on. And, CMC, you don't want to overuse him. I know yesterday was amazing, and we were like, oh, God, CMC, unbelievable, what a game. But you don't want to overuse him just because he can be that good. Mix it up, and I think they're happy. You saw Debo after the game. He was so, excited to see CMC. He knows he's going to help this team. He's going to help take pressure off of Debo. He doesn't want to get hurt. Debo wants to go out there, cook it up, but he also wants to make sure his body survives because he wants to play this game for many years and make more money for a long time. So I think the trade was good for everybody. We talked about it. It might drop their usage, so if you're into fantasy, it's going to kill maybe Debo's stats a little bit. But CMC, man, he's a star. He's going to get big-time plays. He's going to get big-time stats. That's what he does. And just like George Kittle said last night, the guy's such a hard worker. He's a grinder. What's up, Irvin? He's a grinder, and he just goes out there, and you just see how, dedicated, how professional. You just look at CMC, and you just see he's, locked in. Absolutely locked in, and he's just so focused. He comes on the field, and he has his little, moment. He locks in, says a prayer. And everything he does is just so meticulous. I don't know, man. CMC is a special player. So I don't think it would hurt Debo in terms of, getting him upset. He's not going to be in his feelings. I think they want to do what's best for this team. And I think it's going to help everybody. It helped Kittle last night. Everybody thought CMC was going to get the ball. If you watch that game again, that touchdown to Kittle, I mean, the whole defense was looking at CMC. They were like, oh, my God, we got to cover CMC. And you had Kittle wide open at the back of the end zone, and Jimmy throws a dime to him. So, honestly, CMC is helping everybody. And Brandon Aiyuk, man, I've talked about Brandon Aiyuk a lot. I think I've talked about Brandon Aiyuk more than anybody out there right now in terms of 49er content creators. I don't know. Maybe I am. That's just the way I feel. I talked a lot about Aiyuk last night. He's a silent assassin. He's kind of going under the radar, but he's having good games, 80 yards consistently. He's having his best season. He's leading the team in receptions. Him and Jimmy are getting a connection, and whenever Brandon Aiyuk gets a big play, or whenever he gets a play, he kind of sparks the drives. He kind of puts them in good position. He's like a momentum guy. He gets big plays. He gets yak after the catch, and he's just this spark plug on the offense, and he's routing up all the cornerbacks he's playing against. He's phenomenal right now, and I know he's not putting up monster numbers, 120 yards, big touchdown. He's putting up consistent play, and he's helping them move the chains. And Brandon Aiyuk silently being their most reliable player on offense in the receiving team. And yesterday they had a young receiving core. Tay Martin, Jennings was out. They had Willie Snead in there. I mean, he's not a young guy, but he was there. Danny Gray, was there, and Brandon Aiyuk. He was kind of like the guy that had to step up, and he really did. He led that department yesterday, and I got to give Brandon Aiyuk a lot of props. He commented on the post today with OBJ to the Bay, and he says, boo. So I see that as two ways. Either boo that, that's scary if we add OBJ, or boo, like, we don't need him. Boo that I'm that guy. I don't know how to read it, but it was pretty cool to see Brandon Aiyuk chime in on the OBJ trade rumors. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys just came in. Do you guys think they should get OBJ in the Bay? A Boogie says, shout out to Olivia Culpo for sharing Roger's story. Yo, that was dope. That was dope. I ain't even going to lie. So, if people don't know, Olivia Culpo, that is Christian McCaffrey's, significant other, girlfriend. I don't know if they're married or not, but they're together, and she's a fox. And CMC, he's a good-looking dude. It's a power couple right there. She shared my CMC post on her Instagram story. Yo, she's got like 5 million followers. So shout out to Olivia. That was dope. I saw that. I was like, okay, let's go, baby. It's pretty cool when the big celebrities share your stuff. It was a cool moment for me. So we got Playmaker, says Marcos. Aiyuk does not approve it. If Aiyuk doesn't need it, I guess we don't need it, right? Miguel, thank you. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Marco says, we got Playmakers. A Boogie says, is the CMC trade already better than the Sanders trade? That's a good question. I think it's just as effective, and this is one of the things we talked about when we did get CMC, is this was going to have a big effect like Emmanuel Sanders, right? Emmanuel Sanders was a big-time money move, and he helped this offense in many ways in terms of being a leader. He really helped Debo. He really helped a lot of these younger guys become who they were, especially Debo. Like, he was his mentor. So in terms of that, you can't really put a value on how important he was to Debo. Now, we'll see how Christian McCaffrey does as a mentor, but I feel like his vibe has really changed this locker room so far. Like, he's just such a great player, and I think he's hungry. He's played on a team that really wasn't good for the last couple of years. Carolina, and he had injuries, and I think his mindset is, I want to prove everybody I'm still a elite player in this league, because he got written off. I think a lot of people were, there was a lot of people that said the trade was bad. He's washed, he's injury prone, and it wasn't a smart move by the Niners. They gave up too much. And I think he's coming in to change that misconception on him. So I think it's good. Is it better than Emmanuel Sanders? We'll see, because Emmanuel Sanders was the missing piece we needed on offense to kind of bring this team together and make a Super Bowl run. I think CMC will be just as good as Emmanuel Sanders, maybe better, because he's a flat-out superstar, still young, 26. Emmanuel Sanders was more at the tail end of his career, but he was still a dynamic player for this team and really helped out. And he became a mentor. So it's hard to put a price on how much his mentorship was to this team. But, man, CMC, already 2 games in, he has become a flat-out star on this team. He had over 180 yards, total yards of scrimmage yesterday. That was crazy. Threw for, it's 180 yards of total yards is mind-boggling. Second week on the team. First week of practice. The guy's good. He's only getting better. What's up, the slasher? Oh, man, what a game. Do you guys think that he's already better than Emmanuel Sanders? I think right now he's on pace to be better than Emmanuel Sanders. Again, Emmanuel Sanders' leadership is clutch money, man. You can't put a value on that. What a game, says Slasher. Yeah, that was a good game. Before we move on and answer more questions, I kind of want to go over a couple of these guys that we can't single out. We can't single out Fred Warner. I'm wearing the shirt today because Fred Warner, he's been getting a lot of slander on his name this year. I know he hasn't played up to his standards this year, but Fred Warner was exceptional last night. He was the key to the defense. I feel like he was the best player on defense last night. I know Nick Bosa kind of stepped up in the second half, but Fred Warner was that guy. They had to make those second half adjustments, and they did. D'Amico Ryans really stepped up, made adjustments, but it was all because of Fred Warner. They didn't have Dre Greenlaw. They haven't had Aziz in a few weeks. They're missing Arik Armstead, and they've been getting gashed in the run game. So yesterday, early on, they were getting the screen. They were getting beat by screens left and right in the first half, and then second half, Fred Warner flipped the switch, and he was going this way, he was going that way, left, right, just all over the field, making tackles, making sacks, getting in the backfield, pressures. The guy was unbelievable, just flying everywhere. I got to give Fred Warner his credit, because this is a guy I think that, a lot of people have been salty on. Oh, he's getting paid a lot of money. He's overrated. I've seen it a lot. I've seen the comments, And last night, Fred Warner really, really, really showed why he's one of the better linebackers in the league. He was all over the place. And without Greenlaw, a lot of us, we expected them to run on us and really kind of dominate. But Fred Warner was the guy that really put things together. And he was the one that kind of got the momentum shifted for the defense. When they finally got that third down stop in the third quarter, because I think LA was like they had like 6 straight third down conversions. And I'm going, oh my God, this is bad. This is bad. And they got one. And I was like, okay. Everybody on Twitter was like, oh, I got to stop. Oh my God, finally. It was like sarcastic. We were all joking, like, oh, I finally got to stop. But that was the turning point. And it was Fred Warner, man. He got in the backfield, and he was in his bag last night. He's just had one of those great performances. So, yeah, shout out Fred Warner. Really, really good. He was hitting hard, Slasher, you're right. Jimmy Robinson, what's up? He says, who wins the NFC West? The Niners, of course. If the Niners don't win the NFC West, I don't think they make the playoffs. It's going to be a battle. Seattle is playing phenomenal. They got a game up in the win column, but the Niners have right now the edge in the NFC West. They have not lost a game in the NFC West. So that is very, very, very key going into the stretch run of the season, the second half of the season. I think the Niners can win the NFC West, but they have to play consistent. They have to play like they did against the Rams yesterday, because that was a flat-out masterful game. I know the first half was a little shaky, but hey, you adjust. First half, you're going to maybe not be at your best, but you have to make those second half adjustments, and that's what they did yesterday. D'Amico was in his bag. Kyle was in his bag. They played a great game. Jimmy was in his bag yesterday. CMC was a legend. Kittle was, firing on all cylinders, and so was Brandon Aiyuk. And then the O-line, man. Second half, they really stepped up, other than Mike McGlinchey, but we'll talk about him. Aaron Banks, man, he almost let up a sack, but he still hasn't let up a sack this season. Shout out Aaron Banks. Got to give him his flowers. I gave him his flowers on the post today. But, man, Aaron Banks, he was up against Aaron Donald. And I know it helps to have Trent Williams. And there was someone commented earlier, oh, well, it helps having Trent Williams. That's why he's playing so good. But you have to remember, Aaron Banks has played most of the season on the left without Trent Williams there. He's been hurt. He's been nursing the ankle sprain. So Aaron Banks has been doing this pretty much on himself with McKivitz and Moore on that left side. And he's been cooking it up, man. Aaron Banks, shout out, man. They let go of Lakin. They put in a lot of trust and confidence in Aaron Banks, and everybody called him a bust, and everybody was like, they should have kept Lakin Tomlinson. And here we are. Aaron Banks, man, he's living up to his second-round draft pick so far. 8 games into the season, he has not allowed a sack. That is fucking unbelievable. It's nice to see it. You got to give him his credit, because he's stepping up and he's making big-time blocks, man. And he was the guy that made a key block on the touchdown, the beautiful touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey. Oh, God, that's a beautiful highlight that's going to live in Niner history for a long time. Like, just the way he jumped up. We remember that play. But if you watch that, I think I posted it, Aaron Banks goes up against Aaron Donald, and he sealed him so good, and he gave Jimmy just enough time to make that pass. Now, if Jimmy doesn't get it off the way he did in the time he did, because that was such a beautiful play, because Christian McCaffrey, he was out there. He recognizes, he's like, okay, I should just, boom, go up here. He wasn't even like in the main play, and then all of a sudden he leaks up to the top, and he makes a great, instinctive move, and Jimmy sees him, and he just dimes it to him. But if he wouldn't have got that ball out the second he did, he probably would have got sacked, because McGlinchey lets up big pressure. But Aaron Banks was the guy that, prevented Aaron Donald from getting in. So key block there. And he had a lot of key blocks on Aaron Donald, man. And Aaron was bringing the heat with them, and Aaron Banks was sticking up to him. So you got to give Aaron Banks his credit. He's looked good. The O-line, Spencer Burford, first half, a little shaky. Second half, he cleaned it up. He had a great second half. And again, Trent Williams played good. That right tackle spot, though, has been a little bad. McGlinchey let up 2 sacks. He's got to improve that. That's the weak link on the line right now. But shout out Aaron Banks. He deserves all the credit in the world. All the credit in the world. He was phenomenal last night. I wish we could go and get linemen. I mean, trade deadline's tomorrow. I wish we could get one, but really, who's available? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Michael Glitch is going to be here next year. He's been getting pushed around, but I think also too it's mental because every week everybody dogs on him. So now he's just living in his head. Even Joe Staley was dogging on him last week. So that's got to improve moving forward. But hey, you got a bye week. Get your mind right. No excuses. Yeah, but shout out Aaron Banks, man. He's been absolutely crushing it. What's up, 49ers throwback? He says it felt great kicking the Rams' ass. It felt great. It always feels good to beat a team you hate. It always feels good to win, but especially the Rams because they talk so much. And again, every time the Niners beat the Rams, it seems to be like a game they just need. Like it's just one of those, again, we call it the medicine game. It was a great game, and it was just one of those games where you're like, oh, man, it feels so good to beat these guys, right? It feels so good to beat them. So definitely nice to get that victory. And going into the bye, with the win, 4-4. Again, 4-4 is a lot better. 4-4 is a lot better than 3-5. I'll tell you that much. But man, oh man, CMC guy was the hero last night. I mean, everybody's just going crazy. Give him the key to the city. Christian McCaffrey, he's only going to get better in this offense, which is the scary part. Clark says, are we done trading? That's a good question. I think they could still make a move. I don't see them being out of it. If again, the Niners are a team, and they say it all the time. Lynch and Shanahan. If there's something that they can do to improve their team, they're not going to sit there and not do it. They're a team, and that's what Lynch always tells us. If they want to make a move, they'll do it. So I could see them still trading. If they really need someone, they might do it. But they did host a couple players today. So let's talk about that. They may not trade anybody because they might just go sign people on the bargain bin. That's what the Niners are a bargain bin specialty team, right? So they went out, according to Field Yates, they hosted several players. So they cut Willie Snead. My guess is he'll be back on the practice squad. They cut Willie Snead. He'll be back on the practice squad, most likely. And they worked out Adam Humphries, wide receiver, Austin Mack, wide receiver, Tajai Sharp, wide receiver, and Mohamed Sanu, wide receiver. We all know him, veteran wide receiver. He used to be on the team. And then they worked out a couple cornerbacks, Troy Pride, Iman Marshall, and Benji Franklin, like Benjamin Franklin. So, again, I'll read those again. Benji Franklin, cornerback, Iman Marshall, cornerback, and then Troy Pride, cornerback. Those three cornerbacks they worked out. And then 4 receivers, Mohamed Sanu, Taji Sharp, Austin Mack, and Adam Humphries. So those are guys that could be brought to the team. So they may actually go that route instead of trading. They might go to the bargain bin and sign one of these guys, and then they could put them on the practice squad and this and that. So those are probably the guys that they bring up. I don't know if they're going to go make a trade unless they get like a offer they can't refuse, right? If they get an offer they can't refuse, if someone calls and say, yo, we'll give you a 3rd-round pick for Jeff Wilson, they might do it. They might do it. They might go ahead and do it because Jeff Wilson Jr. is great. But if you get a 3rd-round pick, that's pretty good value from an undrafted running back. Now, I don't think they're going to get a 3rd-round pick for Jeff Wilson Jr. But if they do, they might take that. I hope they don't trade Jeff Wilson. I know he's still in the trade rumor cloud, but we'll see. And then, we got basically less than 24 hours to figure out if they're going to make a trade. So, JR says, 3 years later, and OBJ is still on the way. Yo, it's more like, it's been like since 2016. I don't know. The OBJ rumors to the Niners have been going on for years. I've been running this page for a long time. And for as long as I can remember, it's OBJ is on the way. They'll never die. This man could be 80 years old. Niners will be, OBJ could be 80 years old. Retired from the league. And there'll still be some OBJ to the Niners rumors. Somehow, some way. Never going to stop. I don't know. Jimmy says, Danny Gray needs to play. He might have caught that long pass that went to McLeod. Yeah, they got to get him to develop. But again, he's still young. I think the problem is with the Niners and the younger players, it takes them a while to learn the offense. That offense is complicated. And, if they don't get a lot of reps, if they're not balling out in practice, they're not going to get a lot of opportunities. And for a wide receiver, you got to block. That's the first and foremost thing for the receiver. So I feel like that's something that people got to, realize. You got to put context to it, right? Danny Gray may not be getting the opportunity because there's so much intricacies in this offense. And I know he could be out there catching those deep passes. Ray, missed it. But at the end of the day, he's still young. He's still learning. I think eventually he'll get it right, because Brandon Aiyuk, he went through times where he struggled, and he's talked about it many times. He goes, it's a tough playbook. It's hard, and sometimes mentally you're just not right, and you got to really figure it out. But I think Gray eventually will get it right. But you're right, he hasn't really done much for a third round pick. You do want more production, but we don't know what's going on in practice. We don't know how much he's learning and adapting to this playbook. It is tough for these younger guys, but you never know. Maybe he'll make a big play down the stretch. And some players don't get a lot of opportunities in Kyle's system, especially the younger guys. But speaking of deep passes, how about Ross Dwelly's catch yesterday? Oh man, that was an absolute moonshot. Jimmy, what a pass! What a pass from Jimmy, first and foremost. Beautiful pass. And Dwelly, man, one of the biggest catches he's made in a long time. Like, he makes big clutch plays. He doesn't do a lot, but when he gets his number called, he makes good plays. I remember he's done a couple things a couple years back. Arizona game, he had some touchdowns. Washington game a couple years back, he made a clutch pass in the rain, or a clutch catch in the rain. And last night, man, he sealed the game. Beautiful catch. So you got to love it. They do have some underrated role players. But again, it takes some players some time to get accustomed to it. And sometimes they don't get their number called a lot. But when they do, they have to make that time matter. So, again, Ross Dwelly doesn't get his number called a lot. But when he does, he pretty much makes his time count. And again, a couple weeks ago, this is going back to like Charlie Warren. He doesn't get his number called a lot. And then he had a golden opportunity a few weeks ago, and he didn't make it count. So I think that's what Kyle's looking at. You're a player that's not a star on this team. You're a role player. If I give you an opportunity, you got to go make it count. And last week, Danny Gray against the Chiefs, he did have an opportunity, and he didn't make it count, right? He had a bad play. So I think those little moments go a long way for Kyle. So if you are a role player and you don't make a moment count, it might hurt you in the long run. But again, he's young. He's got a lot of time to develop. So Pete Goldman says, OBJ linked to the Niners. Yeah, we talked about it. Adam Schefter's throwing the rumors out. Could just be clickbait. It could just be, the trade deadline's tomorrow. They're trying to juice it up for the ratings. It's Pat McAfee. It's Adam Schefter. They want ratings. Could be some truth to it, but it could be clickbait. So, of course, we're going to talk about it. We did, mention it in the show, but it definitely could just be clickbait stuff. But, hey, would love to see it. I don't know. A lot of people don't, but I would love to see it. 49ers media see. I want to see Danny Gray yesterday. Give him some running plays. That's a good point. Maybe not necessarily running plays, but I know what you're saying. Like the jet sweeps, get him involved in the end arounds, get him involved in the screen passes. I do think that he could have, I do think that Danny Gray could have been involved a little bit more in terms of, those little like trick design plays like they do with Debo, right? The wide back type plays. But again, they have a multitude of players, and a guy like Brandon Aiyuk really stepped up. And then you had Kittle, he played great. And then CMC, man, he was just on a heater last night. You just go to the guy that's working. If Brandon Aiyuk wouldn't be stopped, if Christian McCaffrey couldn't be stopped, just give it to those guys. But I do agree with you, media. I do want to see him get involved a little bit more. Maybe give him some screen passes or, some end arounds. Get him some type of, productivity. He's a young guy. Give him some confidence, right? Shades, OBJ is a free agent. Yeah, exactly. He's a free agent. So they wouldn't have to trade for him. He wouldn't have to trade for him. But what I'm saying is tomorrow's, I know they don't have to trade, but tomorrow is the trade deadline. So they're trying to juice up players on the move, players on the move. So that was the whole comment there. But yeah, of course, he's a free agent. So they wouldn't have to give up anything for him, which is good. Team Shifty, do you think JV will be back after the bye? I hope so. He gets an extra week to rest. I think this week was smart not to play him because they played on turf. You don't want to throw him out there. First week back after a torn ACL on turf kind of would be a rude awakening comeback. I mean, obviously he's going to have to play on turf sometime, but the first week back, you don't want him to play turf. And again, it was just his first week back in practice, and really going at it. I feel like it was smart to give him this opportunity to go in there, get your, legs kind of under you in practice. You get an extra week of rest and recovery in the bye week, and maybe he will play after the bye. And it won't be, I don't think he'll play like a massive snaps, but I think they could rotate him in. So I think the chances of him playing after the bye are pretty good, actually. I think they're pretty good. Depending on how he feels during the next week of practice after the bye. So that is going to be key to monitor. How is he looking, in practice after the bye? If he's pretty, confident and he doesn't feel too sore, then he should play against Chargers. So good question, though. I want to see JV out there. I'm pulling for the guy. He's had a lot of injuries throughout his career. I got to see this guy healthy, man. I want to see him out there and performing. I do want to see him just looking good. I want to see him because he has so much potential, but he's always been, his career's been marred by injuries. It's unfortunate. It sucks, But speaking of cornerbacks yesterday, shout out. Emmanuel Mosley is not there. That's a big loss. But, Mooney Ward, second half, played really good. I think he only allowed 2 receptions yesterday. He really started to step up in that second half yesterday. Cooper Kupp, he didn't get too much. He did get an ankle injury, unfortunately. He was playing really hot in the first half, but they kind of settled down and kind of got him under control. And they were limiting everybody else. Allen Robinson. First half, Rams were cooking. It looked like they were going to walk away with it, and their offense was kind of, pushing us down. They got to 2 big-time scores initially, but defense settled down, and a guy like Mooney Ward really played good. Sam Womack played great. Special teams, he made some big plays at the end. So this secondary has to step up, and they did when they needed to. And again, I think a lot of that was due to the pressure up front. Nick Bosa looked amazing, and Fred Warner, and that pressure caused Stafford to have some problems. Sean Murphy-Bunting, still a rookie deal. Good corner, not bad. I mean, again, they can go and get a guy for the thrift market and plug him in. I feel like they're going to look into, if they're going to add a cornerback, it's going to be a guy that's relatively cheap. And maybe that's a guy they go and move for. But again, they did work out a lot of players today. I think they're going to go more in that route on the players that they worked out. Again, just to give you an update on those guys, Troy Pride, Iman Marshall, and Benji Franklin, those were defensive backs that they looked into today. I think that they're going to go for one of those guys because they're relatively cheaper. They're not going to give you as much of a cap hit. So that's where I think they're going to go. But hey, you never know. Maybe they make a move. Again, unless they get an offer they can't refuse, I don't see it. But hey, anything can happen. They made the trade for Christian McCaffrey. Nobody saw that one coming. All right? Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm still, it's still surreal. Can you believe Christian McCaffrey's on the 49ers? You saw that game last night. It was like, wow. It's good. Very good. Without Christian McCaffrey, we don't have a Victory Monday. We don't have Victory Monday without Christian McCaffrey. We really don't. He was the key to this game. He is probably in Jalen Ramsey's nightmares, Sean McVay's nightmares. Everybody on the Rams probably had nightmares of Christian McCaffrey, while the Niners had great dreams. We had sweet dreams. We had dreams of him throwing the touchdown pass. We had him, all those beautiful dreams of his big plays. Well, the Rams were having nightmares. And he cooked them up a couple weeks ago. Can you imagine you're a Rams fan or a Rams player and you had to play this guy 2 times in the last couple weeks and he just absolutely demoralized you both times. Obviously, the first time Carolina, they got the win. But, I mean, he's probably living in their minds rent-free. Oh, Team Shifty says, Ramsey had nightmares of Robbie Gould. Let's talk about Robbie Gould and Jalen Ramsey. There's beef brewing between the cornerback, Jalen Ramsey, all-pro cornerback, and the kicker, Robbie Gould. And it stems back to last year. Remember in the NFC Championship game, Ramsey and Gould got up in each other's face. And it spilled into yesterday's game. Ramsey kind of pushes Robbie after the kick, and I'm like, what did you go? Flag the guy. Why are you pushing the kicker? That's unnecessary roughness. Why are you taking your anger out of the kicker? And then after the play, he's on the sidelines screaming at his teammate. This is Jalen Ramsey. He's screaming at his teammate. Temper tantrum. He's throwing a temper tantrum. He goes and bumps Robbie Gould. He goes on the sideline, and he has a hissy fit at his teammate. Robbie Gould did nothing wrong. Robbie Gould, and then at the end of the game, they asked him, he goes, yeah, he probably asked for my jersey for Christmas. What a savage. I love Robbie Gould, man. And you have an all-pro cornerback trying to cause, beef. He's trying to start stuff with the kicker. Jalen Ramsey, what a crybaby. Crybaby, man. Yeah, Labby says Ramsey talks to. He talks so. Ramsey's such a baby, man. He talks so much. He talks so much. Sharia says Aiyuk is now on pace for 1,000 yards this year. Um, I'm happy for him considering he was in the doghouse just this time a year ago. For a minute, I was afraid he was about to be Dante Pettis 2.0. 100%. You know, last year, let's flash back to last year because last year Brandon Aiyuk was in the midst of being in the doghouse. You know, he was supposed to have this monster second year. All the hype was on him, and he was struggling. Flipped it on. He flipped the switch on, and then he kind of really started to assert himself. And he started getting cooking in that second half, and he became a really reliable player. And he mentally, I think he grew. I think that was the thing. I think mentally he had to grow because there was a lot of expectations on him last year, and I don't know if he was ready for it mentally. And then there's this Kyle Shanahan not utilizing the younger players, and he wants you to be really tough and assertive and physical in this team. And he finally, flipped that switch and he became that guy. And then this offseason in the training camp, he was dominating. He was like, oh my God, he's him. And, he had a little slow start this year, but I think that's who he is. He's a slow starter. These last couple of weeks, man, he's been so reliant. The most consistent force. He's such a good route runner. And it's good to see Brandon Aiyuk, thriving and playing good and, getting better every day, better every game. It's nice to see, man. You could tell he's happy now. He's getting a little rapport with Jimmy. Definitely, he can still get better. There's still a lot of meat on the bone. He still can get better, right? He still can get better, which is crazy. And that's the thing about my guy Brandon Aiyuk. He can still get better, which is amazing. He still hasn't even hit the surface, scratched the surface of his talent. So good to see. You love to see it. One of those things about Brandon Aiyuk is, it's like we talked about. He's underrated, and he goes under the radar with his production because, you have guys like Debo and CMC stealing the hot spotlight, but he's so important to this team. But I agree because a lot of people thought he was going to be like a Dante Pettis 2.0. You're absolutely right. There was a lot of people that said, oh, he's soft. He's going to be like Pettis, but he flipped the switch, and it's good to see Brandon Aiyuk doing well. Who's our biggest opponent to worry about? Honestly, I think the Seattle Seahawks. We got to be able to beat the Seahawks and maybe the Cardinals. I know they're not doing good, but those are division games, and we have to win the division games 100%. You got to win those. And I know the Cardinals don't have a good record, but they always play the Niners tough. They beat the Niners with Colt McCoy before. Kyler Murray gives this team problems. I think Cardinals might be one, and the Seahawks for sure. Pete Carroll, he's got that team playing out of control, and if the Niners can't beat the Seahawks, they may not be able to win the division. So I think really Seattle is probably the biggest test for the Niners. In the Emerald City, Seattle's playing great. Geno's playing good. Pete Carroll's a hell of a coach. I think that's the biggest game that I would circle on the map. I mean, there's other good games out there, but that to me is the biggest game, because it's a division game, and that right there might be the game that shifts the tide for whoever's going to win the division in the NFC West. So. Hey, Goated 33 says, if Jimmy keeps balling like this, can we make a hell yeah? I mean, if Jimmy plays like that on a weekly basis, the way the offense was clicking, the way the defense was cooking, and if the whole team plays like they did yesterday, they can make a run. I mean, it was a phenomenal game that Jimmy played yesterday. And no hate, So, Kyle Shanahan's at the podium. He says that the Niners have no injuries to report from. I'm gonna go check out and get some updates. We'll be live a little later on Instagram, but appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm going to go see what Kyle Shanahan, I think Matt Mayoko just tweeted out. There's no injuries to report. Breaking news, no injuries. I love you. Happy Victory Monday. And on that note, I'm going to take off. I'll be back a little later. We'll go live on Instagram a little later.